How glad I am to be able to roam in wood and thicket, among the trees and flowers and rocks. No one can love the country as I do. In the country, every tree seems to speak to me saying, holy, holy, holy. Those are the words of Ludwig van Beethoven, one of the first composers who sought to take his profound love of nature and put it in the concert hall. I'm Dr. Kayleen Asbo, cultural historian for the Santa Rosa Symphony, and we want to invite you to come to a concert on this first weekend in spring that celebrates the joys of nature and the call of birds to awaken within us hopes for a promising future. On March 21st, 22nd, and 23rd, we will invite guest conductor Gemma to our stage. Underneath her podium, we're going to be exploring a concert that also celebrates women during Women's History Month. The first piece on our program is by contemporary composer Katherine Balch, entitled Like a Broken Clock. This piece was inspired first by lyrics from a song by a California songwriter. Those lyrics go, "Sometimes I am so in love with you, like a little clock that trembles on the edge of the hour, only ever calling out, cuckoo, cuckoo." Katherine is a composer who takes much of her inspiration from nature. She's particularly interested in leaves and trees and the shapes of things. If we look closely at plant life, we will find that there are unfolding patterns. This has given rise to much of her inspiration in her own work. Some works have even been named after leaves. What we're going to hear in Like a Broken Clock also has its geometric form. Before she transcribed the music into notes, this is what the score looked like. Filled with color and geometry, she does in fact evoke the little cuckoo, cuckoo. Another composer who was enchanted by the sound of cuckoos was Camille Saint-Saëns. He wove their bird calls into his Carnival of the Animals. What we'll be hearing in March is one of his darker, more passionate works, the Violin Concerto No. 3 in B minor. The first two movements are a reflection in some way of some of the tragedies of his life. For in the years preceding the writing of this great masterful work, he had lost both of his young infant children to death. The first movement, B minor, is a key that's traditionally associated with death. Here the violinist enters somber, filled with passion. It is lush and richly melodic writing, brought to its majesty by our violinist, Jennifer Frautschi. The second movement can be heard as a tender lullaby. It unfolds with sweetness and grace. The third movement of this violin concerto bears the imprint of the violinist who premiered it. Pablo Sarasate was a Spanish firecracker whose virtuosity was unmatched in his time. What we will hear is a tempestuous, swirling, life-affirming dance that conjures up those wonderful dances in Spain that set your feet tapping. After intermission, we will turn our attention to Beethoven's Symphony No. 6 in F major. One of Beethoven's early biographers wrote, he loved to be alone with nature, to make her his only confidant. When his brain was reeling with confused ideas, nature at all times comforted and consoled him. Beethoven's Sixth Symphony was revolutionary for the way that it created a story, evoking images in our mind. Each of the 5 movements has not only a tempo, it also has a title that evokes what we should be feeling. The first movement is called Awakening of Cheerful Feelings on Arriving in the Countryside. We hear an open fifth that could well be shepherd's pipes. The first movement gives way to the scene by the brook. At the end of this movement, the cuckoo makes his appearance. In fact, there are 3 birds that are personified by different instruments. We have the flute, that symbolizes the nightingale. We have the cuckoo, played by the clarinets. And we have the quail, personified by the oboe. All 3 bring this charming movement to a close. Our next movement depicts a merry gathering of country folks. This is Beethoven at his most playful. This merry gathering is broken up by a terrific thunderstorm. Beethoven has held back the use of the timpani and his loudest dynamic marking for this moment. And it was indeed a fearsome moment in music that should sound as if the thunderclaps are coming through into the concert hall. The end of this is a hymn of gratitude, the song of thanksgiving, the infamous shepherd's song. One of the things to notice in this symphony is how much Beethoven likes repetition. He will take the same tiny idea and repeat it over and over and over again. And from this little tiny idea, he builds a universe of sonic wonder. I want to invite you to come on this first weekend in spring to Weill Hall at the Green Music Center to celebrate with the Santa Rosa Symphony the beauties of Sonoma County at this time of year and the glories of 3 extraordinary women: composer, conductor, and soloist. Please join us March 21, 22, or 23. 1 hour before each concert will be a concert conversation on stage to get new insight into the glorious masterworks that we're going to be celebrating. I'm Dr. Kayleen Asbo, cultural historian for the Santa Rosa Symphony. And if you'd like to explore further women, art, and music during Women's History Month, I invite you to come here to the Petaluma Historical Library and Museum for Musical Mondays. Hope to see you soon.